So a few months ago, I had an off-the-record conversation with an executive in one of the large automakers in the US. And the things that he told me blew my mind. For example, he talked about his own company, saying that they have no infrastructure in EVs. But also he told me a funny story. He basically told me for years and years, for many, many years, every time they needed to fire somebody from management and they couldn't for all sorts of reasons, they just sent that dude to the electric vehicle department. This was like the Siberia of that company. They would send the guys who couldn't do jack shit over there, basically creating a Jerry Brie, if you watch Rick and Morty, of a company. Now, that's not special. That's not unique. Basically, J.B. Straubel, the guy who co-founded Tesla 15 years ago and served as the CTO, Chief Technical Officer, until 2 years ago, where he left and started his own company, basically went and talked about this on a whole new level that we haven't seen before. Check this out.
Well, the Model S was, it's such a different car. That was the one that really, with the Roadster, it was a technology validation. We proved the batteries could work. They could go in a car. It could be safe. It could do the range and acceleration. But the S was a whole different thing. And, it was so good. We put so much effort into that. And Elon was hell bent on making it, the best car, on the road. And we, I think really delivered on that at the time. It was phenomenal. I still am amazed though at how much skepticism there was. Even after, delivering those, I imagined that, people would see this and they'd say, oh, okay, clearly this is the future. This is all going to work. All the car companies are going to copy this immediately.
Yeah.
And, we'll have to go really fast, figure out how we can carve out a niche. And it just didn't happen.
So strange.
Customers loved it. It was a runaway hit with reviewers and magazines and customers, but the copying and the market change didn't happen. That was interesting.
And I just want to give a huge shout out to This Week in Startups, the YouTube channel that this clip was taken from. Great job with this interview. I'm going to put the link to the original video and the channel below so you guys can go and subscribe. I don't ask you to subscribe to my channel, but go ahead and subscribe to theirs. A really well done channel. Now, the interview was great. And the main takeaway for me was the things that he said about the Model S. In fact, when I was working in the financial industry, I was talking to a guy who owned the Model S, who was an extraordinary guy. He worked as an advisor to one of the biggest companies in the US, a big public company. He was an owner and he was saying, well, Tesla has a lot of maturity problems. They're going to have a lot of competition, blah, 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 blah. And basically, he was really skeptical about the future of Tesla. He loved the car, but he didn't love the company. And J.B. Straubel in this interview basically depicted the same thing, how corporate America completely ignored what happened with the Model S. Essentially, the Model S was not just a proof of concept like the Roadster. This was a real car that was faster, better, cheaper to maintain, and basically better in every single category than any competitor. And yet, people were still skeptical inside the OEM executive suite. And for some reason, they slept on the wheel. They thought that everybody's going to start copying that once Tesla actually hits the Model S, and yet they were basically blown away. It was like a Clint Eastwood movie. Nothing. Just a silence. So basically, they went crazy. Now, he asked us some of the question in this interview and basically says, well, why did this happen? I don't understand why the large automakers missed this opportunity. Now, I'll tell you, J.B. Straubel, because for me, it's quite clear. It's like the old-time bankers who claim that online banking is not going to be a thing because everybody needs a personal banker. It's the same thing like the executives from the retail industry basically saying, well, people want to try on their clothes. They don't like to shop online. All of these guys are out of a job. Soon, all of these old, arrogant, ignorant OEM executives will also be out of a job. One, by the way, is already out of a job, got replaced by a better CEO. If you know what I'm talking about, comment below. But again, we're not going to do some tea time here. This is about actual factuals. So check this out. By the way, before we continue, I just want to remind you that I have one request from you. Don't click nothing, don't smash nothing, don't fucking buy nothing. I got nothing to sell, no courses. I got no expiring coupons. This is it. Just listen and check it out. So I want to add a little something to what J.B. Straubel said, because he was talking about 2012 and it was nostalgic, but I want to give you a little point of reference here. So right now, you would think that after they learned the lesson in 2012, they're not going to do the same mistakes again. And yet, we're 9 years later and they're doing the same mistakes again, which is something that wasn't really highlighted enough in this interview. So here's what's going on right now. It's clear to everybody and their mom that the future is electric vehicles. The ICE vehicles are dying out, electric vehicles are slowly replacing them, and everybody knows that the future is electric vehicles. Even the OEMs, they fully admit it. The problem is that you have a situation where this is an emerging industry with a lot of upside. Right now, only single digits of use of actual electric vehicles in the market. So a lot of upside, a lot of potential TAM, and yet here we go. One company is leading the pack. They're already leading in this massively, everywhere that matters, and everybody's lagging behind. Now, all of these legacy automakers that are already lagging behind in this huge industry are basically putting about 30 to 40% of their effort into this because they still have to maintain the ICE vehicles. It's like a fucking chain tied to a ball dragging down the ocean. They can't get away from it. The only thing that would save them, ironically, in order to compete with Tesla, because Tesla is putting in 100% of their efforts into this new market while they're at 30 to 40%, and they're already kind of lagging behind 5 to 6 years. Look at what Sandy Munro had to say about the Mustang Mach-E. Where's the F-150 electric? Haven't seen it yet. So we have all of these legacy OEMs already losing because of that critical mistake they made in 2012. Now, with the only chance of redemption for them is actually to say, we're abandoning ICE, we're going full electric. That's the only way they can catch up, and still they refuse to do it. And why? There's a few reasons, mainly ignorance, but also arrogance. But then again, don't forget that they know they cannot fail. They're going to get bailed out every time. All of these union workers, they amount to something. You just saw what happened. The US government is blatantly trying to slow down Tesla. They just did a whole conference about electric vehicles, didn't even mention Tesla. So you know that the US government and the other governments are going to be throwing monkey wrenches into Tesla's business to try to slow it down because they need the other automakers not to fail because of the unions. We've all seen this happen. However, you can't stop it. You can't stop progress. You can't stop it. You can only slow it down. And the reason is simple. There's a lot of EV choices out there, a lot of cars right now in the market. And if Tesla did not exist, all of these cars are amazing. They're fine. However, Tesla does exist. And nobody is willing to accept anything less than a 35,000 car that goes 0 to 100 in basically 4.5 seconds, the supercharger network, the full self-driving, the Sentry mode, the 1,500 cameras, and everything that comes with a Tesla. Unless you can deliver that, your piece of shit electric vehicle is not good enough. And the only reason other people are buying other brands right now is because Tesla can't literally meet demand. If Tesla could supply all of this demand, none of these other motherfuckers would have sold a single EV. That's the hard note truth. And on this juncture, I want to give a huge shout out to the channel members and the Patreons who allow me to make these little short and sweet videos. I don't have to go 10 minutes to get ad revenue because these guys support me. If you want to support me as well, $5 per month and you'll be helping the effort. Go down below in the link. There's a link how to subscribe on Patreon. I'd really appreciate it. But if not, my content is always free. I'll see you tomorrow.